And now for something completely unrelated. I saw a news story recently on human beings being able to clone ourselves. Humans are a little bit complicated, but yeah, that's true. What's your opinion on the matter? What if someone had a psychotic episode at some point in time and they thought that people who had chosen to be placed in suspended animation, cryogenics, had mentally communicated to them to tell the relevant authorities to please turn the machine off because it was a horrible place to be, and they would rather be properly dead? Two honest questions for you, waptek. Okay. That was oddly specific, and normally I wouldn't, but considering the last 2 years, and I'm just waiting for the frogs and locusts, but anyway, on that one, under no circumstances would anyone take it seriously if someone claimed that they were able to psychically or mind meld or read a person's mind under any conditions saying, kill me. It's never acceptable. It's a finality of a person. You can't do that. Having a living will that says, I wish to be cryogenically suspended, includes the statement that under no circumstances will this end until either the money runs out, or our company is unable to do it, or some earthquake causes damage, unforeseen consequences. This is actually explored in all of all things in Futurama and movies about the subject, where people go into a suspended animation and then wake up hundreds of years later when the company's about to go dead. They wake them up because they don't want a liability issue, and they cure them of whatever medical problem they had, if possible, but if they can't, they allow them to die. Because legally speaking, if you're not aware of this, if you go to a cryogenic or suspended animation project that preserves your brain or head, they also state that there's an out. If they go out of business, they have to let you die. They have to make reasonable attempts to make sure they transfer you. It may be a medical experiment. You may end up becoming literal property, a form of enslavement, as a corpse, because after you're legally declared dead, whether anybody wants to listen to it or not, yes, it's the subject of many stories, but also a couple of court cases, when you are no longer alive, it doesn't matter if you were preserved before you finished dying, you are declared legally dead and literally dead. This is a statement that you don't normally hear in a court case, but the legal system actually states that after you have not been able to be declared alive by any means, including cellular activity, you are not able to be declared alive. Then you are a property. You can donate your body to science. Your skeleton belongs to somebody who wants to have it in their house as a decoration during Halloween. Some people have requested that they have their bodies preserved and stuffed or burned. I can make a request after I'm dead to have myself incinerated and converted into an inert carbon rod to be sent to somebody, or ground up and made into coffee and tricking somebody I don't like into drinking me. Or I might say that I want myself converted into carbon powder, which is sterile, and spread all over a bunch of steaks. People have done weirder things, but after you're dead, by all practical means, by all practical methods, you are no longer a human being, you are remains, and can be done with whatever one wishes to. And under no circumstances, if someone has been told, preserve me until you've run out of options, can someone say that person gets to be disconnected or shut down. That's actually something that's been cited in court, and also by ethics people who have talked about it. And yes, the existential horror of partial consciousness, or maybe a person having a real immortal soul. I wouldn't want that either. But I also have a note that's the opposite of a living will. It says, under all circumstances, for a specific set period of time, you are to make sure that I don't die. I do not want to be disconnected. I do not want to be taken off the respirator. Why? Because I'm a chicken shit. No, because I have been through enough bad things that recovering from literally being almost dead, actually in my case that's happened almost, well, actually it has, I feel wonderful right now compared to what I felt like 2 years ago. Yeah, I woke up with a pain in my back caused by a nerve pinch that's causing my right leg to feel bad. I woke up with a bad neck a couple of nights ago. But my vision's improved to the point that if I force my eyes to go parallel, I can almost see clearly within 5 feet. I've never been able to do that without glasses. And again, this year, I made my own glasses again, so I've corrected my vision completely, which obviously may be helping me. And to be blunt, I looked in the mirror once and realized I'm not a really ugly person and I don't really want to be dead. 5 years ago I might have, because I was just about dead. But then again, tomorrow I could eat a bad burrito and be begging for the end to come quickly. I don't mean to make light of the subject, but for me, I will. It's okay for me to make light of the situation with me. But I wouldn't want to be a brain in a jar. A brain in a Iron Man outfit would be great. But at which point I'd just leave the planet, because I'd want to see what it would be like to go walking on the moon. And then Mars. Because then I might be able to do it. I was thinking about this recently. Thanks for asking. What would I want to do after I died? Think about it. The movie Ghost. After we die, what if it's like Ghost, where, depending on the circumstances, you could walk the earth, you just can't interact with people as much, but you can interact with them. Number one, that's not possible for various reasons, but let's entertain the idea. Would that be any different than being alive? I mean, in the movie, Patrick Swayze can communicate with other people who are dead, and technically communicate with people who are alive. That's not really any different than being alive the way it's depicted. Obviously, it wouldn't be like that. But what if it was? You'd be immortal, unkillable, and have all the time in the world. And apparently, obviously from his behavior, he can learn things and adapt. I would spend all day reading books. I'd find a way to manipulate a computer somewhere. I'd find some way to keep myself occupied, making my mind happy. Which is what I'm doing right now during this trying time and everything's locked down and blah, blah, blah. As for the cloning ourselves, what's my opinion of it? All you're doing is creating a twin sister or brother for yourself. And maybe even, if you're male, a twin sister. You're genetically copying yourself partially. Your twin brother, if you have one, or your twin sister, isn't you. It doesn't copy you. I see nothing wrong with it, but I also see nothing useful about it. I don't see a need for doing that. People who've cloned their dogs or cats so they can have them again, including, all the little, every freckle in the same location and that sort of thing. Okay. But is that really valuable? For them, it was. For me, I'd want to clone my heart because it has a defect. I'd want to clone my lower jaw so I can replace the missing teeth here by having an entire jaw section. And the front teeth. Because I can't afford dentures and I'd want a $1 million transplant of tissue from a clone? Would the thing I harvest have a brain? That's a subject of an entire movie too. Seventh Day? The Ninth Day? Something like that? To be blunt, these are not sci-fi subjects anymore. It is technically possible to dismantle a person's body to the point that you have them down to just the nervous system and brain, which is much easier to preserve than the entire anatomy. And cloning their body without a brain by removing the genetic information for the brain to form and then implanting the brain in partially the nervous system will be possible. You could have full body transplant and replacement soon. This is today. The cloning would be useful only in one way, to create replacement parts, or, with the expense, an entire body. Take at least 10 years. You can artificially accelerate the growth by using human growth hormones to make approximately a 6-foot-tall, somewhat juvenile body, and then put the brain in and kickstart the hormones in it and make it work. That's technically possible even now. There are people who have complete cervical disconnection. They're on heart-lung machines where they have a broken neck, where the brain is simply attached to their body as a heart-lung machine for them, and it's electrically stimulated, but they can live. One of the more brilliant people on the planet was almost at that point, too. We're already there. Do I think that's acceptable? It's only done for really rich people, or heroically done for people who have had a horrible thing happen to them early in life and have been cheated out of a full life. I don't know the answers. But thank you for asking me the questions. But no one has the authority to decide that my will and testament at the end of my existence should be ignored. But then again, for economic reasons, I would be chucked out and left in a junk heap or maybe harvested for tissue for some training class. Just as easily. And remember, if you're poor enough, your body may end up becoming a skeleton in some museum somewhere, depending on what country you grew up in. That should scare the shit out of some of you. For others, like me, doesn't matter one bit or another. I'd even volunteer for it on purpose. Or I already did it by putting it on my license. Be careful what you sign away, including your soul. Thank you for watching. Have a good day. Good luck.